separated city of Kingston, Jamaica, lived a young girl named Tamika. She was an empathetic 16-year-old who resided with her mother and younger twin sisters. Her father worked abroad, diligently sending money to support his family. However, her mother's negligence led her to squander the money on partying while providing only the bare minimum for Tamika and her sisters. This meager allocation left them with constant hunger, as the food never seemed to be enough. Tamika, determined to alleviate her sisters' hunger, took it up on herself to ensure they had enough to eat. She sometimes went out to neighbors asking for food to feed her siblings. She wasn't worried about herself, but her sisters were too young to be going through something like this. The twins, being young, didn't understand the significance of their mother's neglectful behavior. But Tamika, being older and more aware, harbored a mixture of frustration and anger towards her mother's indifference. Despite the financial constraints, Tamika's drive and determination propelled her to excel academically. Although she couldn't consistently attend school due to the lack of funds, her intelligence and self-motivation kept her head above water. She was committed to transforming her life and making a better future for herself, resolute in her determination to break the cycle of poverty and neglect she had grown up around. She spent her limited spare time studying at the community library, scouring each book for knowledge and seeking guidance from the library staff. Tamika used her intellect to her advantage, learning everything she could to expand her horizons and build a foundation for success. She sought to create a stark contrast to her mother's lackadaisical approach to life. Sadly, the scarcity of resources extended to Tamika's school uniform and personal grooming. Classmates, particularly a group of girls from her community, took advantage of these signs of poverty and taunted her relentlessly. They targeted her vulnerabilities and made her feel inferior, adding to her already burdensome life. Despite the emotional torment, Tamika's resilient spirit allowed her to keep pushing forward. Though the hurtful comments cut deep, she didn't let them deter her from pursuing her academics goals. She was determined to rise above the negativity, channeling her earth into fuel for her studies. She began to view her education as a means of escape, a way to transcend her current circumstances and build a brighter future. Every bully, every hurtful remark further strengthened her resolve to defy the odds and prove them wrong. Tamika's indomitable spirit refused to yield to their mocking words. The upcoming exams added to Tamika's stress, and she requested money from her mother to cover the costs. Instead of the support she hoped for, her mother lashed out angrily, imploring Tamika to withdraw from school entirely and start working immediately. The harsh words struck a nerve. Tamika's determination to stay in school and make something of her life conflicted with her mother's insensitive and dismissive attitude. The request for money turned into a bitter exchange, with Tamika's dreams and aspirations seemingly shattered by her mother's callousness. The next day at school, Tamika arrived with a heavy heart. Her teacher, sensing her somber mood, inquired about her preparation for the upcoming exams. Tamika responded disheartenedly, sharing the devastating news of her inability to pay the exam fees and her mother's demand to quit school. The teacher's hopeful and cheerful expression transformed into sadness upon hearing Tamika's words. She saw the disappointment and helplessness on Tamika's face and understood the gravity of her situation. The teacher, seeing Tamika's potential and solidity, decided to take matters into her own hands. She was determined to ensure that Tamika wouldn't miss the chance to sit her exams, refusing to let her unfortunate circumstances stand in the way of her education. She offered to pay for Tamika's exam fees, believing in her students' capabilities and not wanting her to be limited by her mother's indifference. This act of kindness filled Tamika with a wave of hope and gratitude. It was as if a ray of light had pierced through the dark clouds. The teacher's generosity not only enabled her to participate in the exams, but also reinforced her belief that there were people who saw her potential and wanted to support her dreams. Tamika felt joy as she processed her teacher's generous offer. Her eyes were teary and her heart filled with gratitude. Unable to contain her emotions, she rushed forward and embraced her teacher tightly, repeating her thanks. The gesture meant the world to her. "Thank you, Mrs. Dean," she said. "I will not let you down." Her teacher smiled as she responded, "I have all the faith in you, Tamika. You got this." True to her intelligence and determination, Tamika aced her exams. She had studied diligently, using her resourcefulness to absorb the material despite the limited resources at her disposal. Weeks of intense studying paid off as she tackled each subject confidently, resulting in high marks across the board. The relief and triumph she felt upon seeing her exam results were beyond description. She knew all the hard work, sleepless nights, and self-discipline had not been in vain. Tamika's exam success was a testament to her strength and intelligence, a ray of hope amid her struggles. As the day passed, the school year slowly approached its conclusion, and the students, including Tamika, prepared for their high school graduation. The atmosphere was a blend of anticipation and memories, with the final days of school bringing both excitement and sadness. As the school year neared its conclusion, Tamika's teacher approached her once more. This time, their conversation centered around Tamika's college plans. The teacher, seeing Tamika's strength of will and academic prowess, was invested in her future and wanted to discuss her educational path after high school. Tamika shared her dreams of attending the university and furthering her education. It was her lifelong ambition, yet the financial constraints posed by her family situation seemed like a massive hurdle to overcome. The teacher's questions about a university naturally led them to discuss Tamika's father. Having seen the struggles Tamika faced at home, she was curious to know more about her father's situation and whether he could provide any assistance for Tamika's university aspirations. Tamika's revelation about her father left the teacher puzzled and filled with concern. She learned that her father sent money regularly, but due to her mother's interference, Tamika had no direct contact with him. Surprisingly, her father was oblivious to her struggles and was kept in the dark by her mother. The teacher, now even more worried, could only imagine the difficult and complex situation Tamika had to contend with at home. The teacher discussed a potential solution to Tamika's financial struggles: a part-time work program. She offered to assist Tamika in securing a job to help save money for her college funds, ensuring that her dreams wouldn't be hindered by her financial limitations. Tamika, feeling grateful for her teacher's unending support, listened intently, hoping that this opportunity could lead her one step closer to realizing her college ambitions. On the day of her graduation, Tamika grappled with a whirlwind of emotions, her feelings conflicted by her current circumstances. The previous night, her mother had headed out for a party, returning home in the early hours, leaving her still asleep as the graduation ceremony drew near. Without her mother's presence, Tamika made the decision to attend her graduation with her younger siblings, resolute in celebrating this significant milestone without her mother's support. The event was filled with bittersweet feelings for Tamika as she sat in the auditorium, adorned in her cap and gown, her younger siblings sitting next to her, while other students were surrounded by proud parents and loved ones. Tamika felt a pang of sadness as her mother's absence loomed large. As the graduation ceremony commenced, Tamika tried to focus on the moment, the fruits of her labor, and the honor she was being awarded. Yet she couldn't help feeling a sense of loss, of disappointment that her mother, the person who should have been there to witness her triumph, was nowhere to be seen. Despite the void left by her mother's absence, she knew she couldn't let bitterness overshadow her achievements. This was her day, a testament to her hard work and determination, and she wouldn't let her feelings of hurt cloud the significance of her accomplishment. Weeks following her graduation, Tamika commenced her part-time job, and the future began to look brighter for her and her younger siblings. The earnings from her job provided a steady and much-needed source of income, lifting some of the financial burden that had seemed to weigh heavily on their shoulders. With some financial stability, the siblings could now afford better food, and Tamika was able to provide them with some of the things they had been lacking due to their mother's indifference. It was a small step, but it was a step in the right direction, and Tamika was determined to keep moving forward and making things better for herself and her siblings. Equipped with her new job's regular income and the money she had saved, Tamika successfully applied for a student loan, allowing her to pay for her college tuition without relying solely on her mother for financial support. This achievement represented a significant milestone in her life, and it allowed her to pursue her dreams without the constant fear of being held back by her family's limitations. Unfortunately, Tamika's mother remained unaware of her plans to attend the university due to her lack of interest in her daughter's life. It was a painful reality, but Tamika was determined to not let this dampen her spirit. While it would have been ideal to have her mother's support and encouragement, Tamika was focused on making the most of her academic journey and pursuing her dreams regardless of her mother's indifference. Though saddened by her mother's attitude towards her, Tamika took a pragmatic approach. She understood that her mother's lack of support meant she had no choice but to rely on herself and her strength. She was committed to her education and success, and had a newfound drive to work hard and not let her mother's disinterest hold her back. Tamika carefully concealed a small purse in a discreet spot for her younger siblings to use anytime they were hungry at home. However, one day, she discovered that her mother had been taking money from the purse. This discovery devastated her, as the money was meant for her siblings and not for their mother. The realization that her mother had been taken from the purse left Tamika feeling betrayed. She couldn't believe that the money she had saved for her siblings' needs and her own tuition could be taken advantage of in such a manner. The selfishness of her mother stung deeply, and it only fueled Tamika's resolve to create a better life for herself and her siblings. Tamika had been contributing financially to the household through her hard-earned income. She was proactive about it and understood that having a safety net was important. So, she had been setting aside a portion of her earnings in case of any unexpected expenses or emergencies. Her mother's betrayal made her realize that she certainly could no longer trust her, and this only strengthened her resolve to safeguard what was rightfully earned and intended for her and her siblings' needs. Fueled by a deep sense of disappointment, Tamika decided to confront her mother directly. She approached her with the best of intentions, hoping to address the issue and seek understanding. However, this turned out to be a monumental mistake. The confrontation ended disastrously, with Tamika's mother completely disregarding her concerns and becoming angry and defensive. Instead of showing remorse or a willingness to change, her mother lashed out, blaming Tamika for everything. Infuriated beyond measure, Tamika's mother made an impulsive demand. Hello everyone, thank you so much for coming back to our channel. We hope that you enjoyed part 1 of this heartbreaking Jamaican tale. Stick around for part 2. See you on the next one. Be blessed.